Hello, today we are looking at how we can optimize data relationship in Dataverse. My name is Eric Ntie. Now before we delve into a demo inside the Dataverse, we will look at a few fundamental introductions. Now when we look at this particular table, I have three tables here. I have the accounts, I have a region, then I have a sales table. Now the account table I leverage on the standard tables that is in Dataverse. Then I created a custom original table. Then my main table is the sales table. When we look at these three tables, they have something in common. You see that the main table is having customer, and then the customer Kojo Ama Esi is being picked from the account table, a column named a customer name. Then the same way we see that there's a relationship between the region and the sales table, and the sales table is having the regional IDs. So there is a relationship between these three tables. Now the issue is that what happens when the account table, which is the parent table that is being picked by the sales table, there's an update on the customer name or is even deleted from the system. What happens to the sales table? So this and many more, and how we can ensure that there's data integrity is what we are going to do with. So let's look at some few fundamentals. Now when we are going to look at some introduction. We look at the types of relationship that we have in Dataverse. We look at some demo on the relationship behaviors, and then we look at some of the considerations to ensure data optimization. Now quickly, a data relationship, as I explained earlier using the Excel table, talks about how each of the database is made up of tables and other objects, but with the tables they talk to each other using what we call the foreign key and then the primary key. Now to ensure data integrity in the database, we have to make sure that there are good management of this relationship, because the relationship actually determines how we can create, we can write, we can update and then delete operations, and how they relate to the other tables. Usually some of the terminologies that we use are parent-child relationship between the two or more tables. We can use the master-child relationship. In Dataverse, we normally use the primary table and then the related tables. Now, as I said earlier, we have three kinds of relationship that normally Dataverse is available in Dataverse. That is the one to many, many to one, and then many to many. And then some of the behavior and the cascading effect could be seen from what they call the parental, referential, and then custom. So with this, let's go to the Dataverse interface to look at how exactly it works. So I have a couple of tables and I've created a solution called Dataverse tutorial. So when I open the solution, I have created three tables as I indicated earlier. I actually created two tables and then made use of an existing custom table that is available. So one of them is accounts, the other is regions, and then the other is the sales table. Now, when I open the account table and I go to the relationship, I see that the account table has a relationship with the sales table as indicated here. The account table has a relationship with the sales table using the customer column, and it is one-to-many. Okay, so we can even open the relationship and look at how it's established here. So we have the account table matching to the sales table using a lookup of the customer. Now, as I said earlier, you see that we have various names as indicated here, and then we have the customer. So we have multiples of names in the sales table matching against the one of the names in the parent table, which is the account table. Now when we go to the advanced, one of the things we need to consider is the type of behavior that the relationship establishes when we delete or when we update the parent table. So Dataverse gives us three types of relationship that we should consider in order to ensure data integrity. One of the behaviors to consider is what they call the referential. Another one is parental, then the custom. Okay, so let's look at the parental. Now with the parental behavior, what it means is that whatever happens to the parent relationship affects the child relationship immediately. So let's save this and look at exactly what happens. So we are saving a relationship, but we have chosen the parental relationship. So we are going to perform an example to see exactly how any changes in the parent affect the related table or the child table. We have picked some of the names here for our various transactions, which is the main table. So we have Daniel Sam, we have Joseph Acom, then we have another Joseph Acom. So based on the number of transactions that they perform or the customers perform, we pick it from the account table, then we continue. Now, having taken the parental behavior, we are now going to look at how any changes here affect the sales table with regards to the name of the customer. So for instance, let me pick Acom, Joseph Acom, and then let's say I'm going to make a change to the name of Joseph Acom and how it affects the sales table. So when I come here and make Joseph Acom, and let me add another name, Eric, Joseph Acom Eric. Then I make the save, I click on the save button. Now I go to the sales table. Let me go and check how. So when I expand this, you see that immediately the Eric that I added to the parent table has reflected in the related table, which is the sales table. So that explains the parental behavior that we chose as part of the relationship under the advanced options. So what happens is, assuming I want to go back to account column, and then let me say I delete just Yalbeku. When I go to the sales table, I have one Yalbeku here. So when I delete Yalbeku from here, go ahead and delete. Do you want to delete? Yes. So after deleting Yalbeku, I go back to the sales table and I see that there's no Yalbeku again. So the deletion in the parent table has directly affected the sales table. Now let's go back to the parental behavior and choose another one called referential. So with the referential behavior, there are two options. One of them is to remove link, then the other one is to restrict. Now first of all, let's pick the restrict. What it means is that when we perform an operation on the parent table, we should restrict deletion where there is an establishment of a name in the child table. So for instance, when I come back here, we have Daniel Sam in the parent table, and then we have used Daniel Sam in the child's table. So we haven't chosen that relationship of restrict deletion. What it means that once we have used Daniel Sam, which belongs to the parent table, if you decide to delete Daniel Sam here, it shouldn't allow. It should restrict us from deleting it. So let's go to delete. First of all, let me see whether it's saved. Okay, so it's saved. Then let me refresh the page before I perform this operation. Okay, so in the parent table, I'll go back and delete. So we see that it states that the account cannot be deleted because it's associated with another record. What it means is that there is a restriction on the deletion based on this behavior that we have chosen. The other option is the remove link. So with the remove link, let's see how this any deletion affect the parent or the child table. So I've taken the remove link from the referential. I go to the parent and I decide to take Daniel Sam. Now when I go to the table, the main table, I have one Daniel Sam. In the account table, which is the parent table, I have Daniel Sam. Let me try and delete this. Daniel Sam is deleted. Let's go back to the main table. You see that the name Daniel Sam is removed, although the record is maintained. So this becomes an orphan a column or field. There's nothing here because the name there is taken off. The Daniel Sam is taken off. So I hope this is clear. Then let's go back to the relationship once more and then look at the custom. The custom has a number of options or behaviors that could be taken. I may not be able to go through all of them, but let me explain. With the custom, remember that we are always talking about the parent table or the primary table and then the related table. So what should happen when we do any changes to the primary table? What should happen to the related table? That's exactly what we are doing here. So with the delete, it means that whenever we delete on the parent, if we should take this option, cascade all, remove link, and then restrict. So with the cascade all, it means that whatever happens to the parent table should happen to the related table. The same with the remove link and restrict, the same as the what I explained earlier under the referential. Share. So the issue is that when I share the parent table, what should happen to all the related table? Should they be shared or not? So with the cascade or it means that whenever I share the parent table, all the associated table for that parent table, all the associated child table or related table should also be shared. Cascade active, it means that only the active should be shared. Then cascade owner owned, then cascade none, it means nothing of the related table should be shared, only the parent should be shared. The same goes with the assigned, when you assign it. And then also when you unshare, what should follow? So this is exactly the behavior that happens. So with this in mind, how are you going to ensure that the relationship that you have established in the table ensures data integrity, and what are some of the considerations that you should pick? So a number of things come to mind. When we look at the behaviors, you have to determine which of them is really appropriate for your circumstance. Will you go for the referential? Will you go for the parental? Or you look at the custom? So you think of it very well at the beginning before you choose. Will you be okay with orphan fields? As we have in the sales, you have a sale and you don't even know who sold it. This is based on the behavior you choose. It may not be appropriate, but depending on your circumstance, if that is what you want, you go ahead and choose that one. So to be able to optimize data and make sure there's data integrity, you have to be very cautious about the type of behavior that you choose. The other thing that I will add in terms of establishing an optimal relationship is to look at whether you will go for a choice or a lookup. Now, on the table that I showed you here, you see when we are picking from the customer name from the account table to the sales table, we can use a choice column or we can use a lookup. Each of them will work, or any of them will work. Now, under a proper circumstance, or to ensure a good establishment of relationship, choosing a lookup will automatically create the relationship for you. And so I will go for the lookup, and it has an added advantage, especially on the sales table. So assuming I want to add a new table or a new transaction, I go for the date. Then I search for the name of the customer. Now, searching for the name of the customer here with a choice column will also work. Well, this is a lookup column. But whereby you don't have the existing customer and you need to create or add the new customer, you cannot do that using a choice column. So with the lookup, the user can easily create new and add a new customer to the account table. Remember, the table we are working on now is the sales table and not the account table. But because we have that lookup, it creates a you have a quick create form that will help us to go for, so let's say low George and save. So quickly we are able to add a new customer, then we can continue our transaction. So this is one of the advantages that we get for, so let's say cost of bread. But with the choice column, we will not be able to do that. Go ahead and save.